At the beginning, when you are first starting something, it's fun. It's interesting and you get plenty of good feedback from the people around you. Over the next few days and weeks, the rapid learning you experience keeps you going. Whatever your new thing is, it's easy to stay engaged in it. And then the dip happens. The dip is the long slog between starting and mastery. A long slog that's actually a shortcut because it gets you where you want to go faster than any other path. The dip is the combination of bureaucracy and busy work that you must deal with. It is the long stretch between beginner's luck and real accomplishment. This is a passage from Seth Godin's book called The Dip. I was actually turned on to this book by Matt D'Avella. The Dip talks about this phenomenon of how after an initial period of success, people fall into a slump with their work, and they think because they've sort of entered a plateau phase that they're doing something wrong or that they should change their path, change the way they're doing things, when in fact, they're just going through that long slog, that middle period where you're on a journey to actual mastery. I think for a lot of us, if we're lucky enough to have found something that we're deeply passionate about, at least at some point, we struck gold with it. We went through what I call a surge phase. For me and acting, this started at the age of 7. When I was 7 years old, I did a play in 2nd grade called The Little Bell That Could Not Ring. While the other students who were in the play were sort of shy to perform in front of 300 parents, I reveled in it. Afterwards, all the parents came up to my own parents and they said, you know what, your son belongs on Broadway.
Hi there! Well, your son did such a great job in the play today.
Good.
Oh, goodness.
My parents didn't even know what Broadway was. But for the next several years, I went through that surge phase with my work, where everyone told me, Nikhil, you're such a great actor. You're so talented. It wasn't until many years later when I did an acting workshop in Mumbai that I realized that there was an ocean of talent out there that I wasn't aware of. It was after taking that workshop in Mumbai that I realized that I had entered the dip in my own life. And in fact, I am still in the dip. I'm still not the actor that I would like to be. And it's funny when on some of my skits, sometimes people write me comments like, you know what, you're not that good of an actor, or you're not that funny, or this skit was just annoying. I can't help but laugh because if only they knew how much I realize that. I realize that my talents are not yet world class, but they are improving. Though I am in a middle phase, what might be considered mediocrity, both with my acting, with my videography, and my work as a consultant, though I'm definitely not world class, I am certainly improving. And that is an important thing to remember continuously. I'm the only child of 2 very devout Hindus, and as a kid, they would make me read the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the more important texts in Hinduism. That 12th chapter goes through the characteristics of the ideal Hindu. The one word that kept showing up as someone who is an ideal Hindu is equanimity. In pain and pleasure, in honor and dishonor, when people are giving you accolades and praise, and when people are giving you reproach, treating it all about the same. I'm certainly not pushing any religious agenda at you or anything, but I think this might be a useful philosophy framework to consider. Impartialness, both when things are working out and when maybe you're in that dip. Being relatively impartial and surging forward with your work, regardless if the results are good or bad. I think this is the fastest way out of mediocrity, because your results are not a reflection of who you are today. They're a result of who you were for the last 5 years coming up to today. There's a lag time between your results and who you are. And who you're going to be in the next 5 years is determined by your habits, your routines, your implementations, your mindset, and the way you carry out your work. If you're in the middle of a surge with your work, keep going. If you're in the middle of a slump, if you're in the dip, as we so often are, we tend to spend more time in the dip than not, keep going anyway. And if you've gained great heights, lost it all, and now you're trying to reinvent yourself, stay on the path as well. As long as we stay on the path, we will not succumb to mediocrity. There is more to what Seth Godin said in his concept of the dip. He also talks about strategically quitting, and I've sort of simplified that principle, but I think this is a useful thing to remember nonetheless. Oftentimes in our work, we go through surges where everyone tells us we're amazing. We go through plateaus where people aren't acknowledging us at all, and yet through all that, it's best to not give too much importance to the feedback. Don't pay attention to the feedback, just stay on the path. If you're new to the channel, my name is Nikhil. This channel features one comedy sketch every Wednesday and a more genuine video like this every Sunday. If that appeals to you, consider subscribing. And for those of us who are willing to push through the surges and the dips, to us I say, greatness is coming. I'll see you guys Wednesday. Cheers.